morning, Westside.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here today. It's good to see you. It's good to be with you on Sundays. Westside is better with your presence, so thank you for being present today. As most of you undoubtedly know, I enjoy Sundays at Westside. But Sundays where we welcome new members are especially sweet. We welcome more into the Westside congregation today with love and excitement. Most of them have gone through our class titled Exploring Westside Membership. They have learned about our religious community and have decided that this place is the place for them. A place where they will give of their time and their talent and their treasure. A place where they will be loved and can offer their love to others. A place that is worthy of their full presence here on Sundays. Religious communities can often be great comforts of peace and joy. More often than not, that is what we receive and give here, peace and joy. But religious communities can also be places of anxiety and stress, especially when larger than normal change is occurring. As I wind down my time at Westside as minister, I wonder sometimes what to talk about on Sundays. A minister does many things, but I believe myself to basically be a teacher. So I will inherently attempt to be in that role in my remaining Sundays in Westside's pulpit. There have been times throughout my time here where what I was reading and thinking about seemed to serendipitously come together for reflection on Sundays. And recently I have been reading the latest missive from the Commission on Appraisal of the Unitarian Universalist Association. The Commission on Appraisal is a group of 9 elected members. There are currently a couple of ministers on the commission, but most are very involved UUs from the pews who want this religious movement to thrive. In the UUA bylaws, it is mandated the Commission on Appraisal shall review any function or activity of the association which, in its judgment, will benefit from an independent review and report its conclusions to a regular General Assembly. They will also study and suggest approaches to issues which may be of concern to the association, and they will report to a regular General Assembly at least once every 4 years on the program and accomplishments of the association. So essentially, this group studies issues they deem to be important to talk and think about within our association of congregations. They've examined a variety of issues in their history. Most of their work seems to land within 4 categories: growing membership, governance, history, and leadership. The titles of some of the Commission on Appraisal's reports are things like Engaging Our Theological Diversity, The Representative Nature of General Assembly, Black Empowerment, Sexism in the Ministry, and Gay Concerns. This is the 13th report of the Commission since its inauguration under the bylaws of the UUA in 1961. This latest work is titled, Who is in Charge Here? And the report examines the relationship of power and authority in Unitarian Universalist congregations. Now, I read the report when it first came out, and to be honest, I don't think the assessment said anything all that earth-shattering. Although I acknowledge it is sometimes necessary to say out loud those things which are apparent. As I read it, the report says, we Unitarian Universalists find ourselves in a somewhat difficult situation. The Commission said our congregations reflect the continuing tension between two basic values: rugged individualism and community. We want leadership, but not too much. We want to be challenged, but don't want to be pushed. We desire a community to care as long as it is not intrusive. There is a balance we want, and that, in my opinion, is not a bad thing at all. But I think it must also be said the balance we seek is sometimes difficult to secure. We try to get at this balance through our democratic process, a process so important to us that it is ensconced within our 7 principles we read just a few minutes ago. So important to us that you will hear little jokes like this, where a group of UU church school children were trying to determine the sex of a rabbit. There's only one way to decide, said one UU child. Let's take a vote on it. Perhaps it's just where I stand today, but I think ministers can get caught in the middle of the tension the Commission speaks of. And I also think congregations can sometimes want more from their ministers than what is realistic. The following story, written by the Reverend Clinton Lee Scott, was told by the Reverend Michael Schuler at the Service of the Living Tradition in 2011. The Service of the Living Tradition occurs every year at the UUA's General Assembly, and it honors clergy and credentialed religious leaders. It seems to me this story is especially relevant for Westside at this point in our history. It goes like this. Now it came to pass that while the elder in Israel tarried in Babylon, a message came to him from a distant city, saying, "Come, thou, and counsel with us. Help us search out a new priest, for the one who has long served us has gone away." And the elder in Israel arose and journeyed to that distant city. And when the men of affairs were assembled, the elder spake to them, saying, "What manner of man seeketh thee to be your new priest?" And they answered and said unto him, "We seek a young man, yet with the wisdom of gray hairs, one that speaketh his mind freely, yet giveth offense to no one. That draweth the multitude to the temple on the Sabbath, but will not be displeased when we ourselves are absent. We desire one who has a gay mood, yet is of sober mind. That seeketh out dark sayings and prophecies, yet speaketh not over our heads. That filleth the temple, buildeth it up, yet defileth not the sanctuary with a motley assortment of strangers. We seeketh one that puts the instruction of the young first, but requireth not that we become teachers. That causeth the treasury to prosper, yet asketh not that we give more of our own substance. Verily, we seek a prophet that will be unto us a leader, but will not seek to change us, for we like not to be disturbed." And the elder in Israel answered and said unto them, "When I have found such a priest, I will indeed send him unto you. but you may have to wait long. For the mother of such a one has not yet been born. Ministers are, I think, stuck in the middle of what we are and what we want to be. Now, I know there is at least a handful of Westsiders who were in the Peace Corps, and I can remember a slogan the Peace Corps used that I thought was brilliant. Maybe you remember it too. They said, if you join the Peace Corps, it would be the toughest job you ever loved. I have no doubt that's true. I'm sure those Westsiders and others who have participated in the program would say the job was tough, but that they loved it. I think I would borrow that slogan from the Peace Corps and say, that is exactly how I feel about serving as Westside's minister. It has been the toughest job I've ever loved. As the story indicates, there are many things that go into being a Unitarian Universalist minister. You need to be a good listener and a good speaker. You need to be patient and you need to be active. You need to be creative and you need to be analytical. You need to be able to be alone and yet to enjoy the company of others. And not every minister is good at everything. I'm certainly not. It is, I think, difficult not to want or hope in our heart that ministers be good at everything, while knowing in our head that that is not quite possible. While I was in Chicago much of last week, I spent the majority of my time at a training I had registered for back in February called Organizing for Social Change. The training was held in a Roman Catholic convent of cynical sisters. Not cynical as in the distrust or disparagement of others, but Cenacle, taken from Old French and Latin to mean the upper room, where Jesus last dined at the Last Supper. The training was not conducted by the cynical sisters, but by a group called the Midwest Academy. And the training was really good. One of the best trainings I've attended in a long time. The whole idea in the training was to determine who held what power so that people could be mobilized and appealed to or struggle with that sense of power to make positive change. I think power or authority is something UUs have difficulty adjusting to. We usually do not want others to have any sense of power over us. We've seen how those with power often abuse it. We remember the words of Thomas Jefferson, who said, "Experience has shown that even under the best forms of government, those entrusted with power have in time and by slow operations perverted it into tyranny." And Abraham Lincoln, who said, "Nearly all men can stand adversity. But if you want to test a man's character, give him power." We are leery of power, of authority. So in our Unitarian Universalist communities, the power lies in the people of the congregation. While a minister may appear to have power or authority, it mostly resides within the realm of persuasion. Ministers have the privilege of the pulpit. From the pulpit, we may persuade. And within committee meetings, ministers might hold influence that comes from position or knowledge. But ministers do not have a vote in church elections. We are ex officio to the board and to committees. Ministers rarely have the ability to hire or terminate staff members without board approval. With our allegiance to the democratic process, you are in charge. The church is in charge. For better or for worse, in good times and in bad, it is the church, the people, who are in charge. And when you have the power invested in a democratically run congregation, it is best, I think, to be judicious with that power. The great thing is, as I see it, is there is no diocesan order, no episcopate, no bishop who will tell Westside what she must do. The less than great thing, as I see it, is that churches like Westside must live with the decisions they make. The good decisions and the not so good decisions. And I believe the decisions seem to get bigger as the congregation grows larger. But there are people within the association who are willing to help Westside through her ministerial transition, like the elder from Israel. They have best practices to follow. They have protocols which have been developed over decades of meaningful experience, all with the intention of helping Unitarian Universalist congregations like this one find the best minister to meet the congregation's needs. There is no hidden agenda. If Westside does well, Unitarian Universalism does well. Through the democratic process, the congregation will make the selection. And Westside, like many UU congregations, will have to balance that idea of rugged individualism and community. The idea of what I want, what I believe to be best, in contrast to what might be best for the community as a whole. And it is a sad truth that some will likely leave Westside during the process of finding a new settled minister. Some may be discouraged with the process. Some may not like the amount of time this whole thing takes. Some may not like the individual eventually chosen. These folks are not able to balance the tension of their own needs with those of the community. But Westside will continue on. It will probably look different. It will probably sound different. It will probably even feel a little different. But it will move on. And I hope all of you here, those who have been here for quite some time and those who have just joined the church, will stay for the long haul. Do the required work and continue to build the strongest Unitarian Universalist community you possibly can. I'll be watching. It may be from a long way away from here, but I'll be watching Westside, curious to see what you do. Because this is a good place to be, with good people who do good things. And no matter how this all turns out, I will continue to believe there is no better place in Fort Worth, Texas to be on Sundays than at Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. As we rise together in body or spirit, and join in singing our closing hymn number 318, We Would Be One. We'll sing all of the 2 verses.